that I'm such a fan of your work, and
Thank you very much.
I think Man of Steel is an absolute masterpiece that I've seen 35 million times.
You and me both, man.
I think you are genuinely the greatest Superman to ever live, and I want you to continue playing the character.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to know your thoughts real fast, if you had any. I know you're waiting for this question all day, but what are your thoughts on people being so vocal about the Snyder Cut, and is it something that you have seen, or would you want to see it?
I have not seen any Snyder Cut. I don't know if there's anything that exists that is a Snyder Cut. I'm sure there's footage out there which has probably been pieced together over the years. I'm always interested to see how that stuff turns out, but that is very much a chapter in my past. I would rather talk about what is going to happen in the future, the future of Superman, how I can express that character from the comic books, which ties in nicely to Man of Steel. Man of Steel, I really like that movie, and I'd like to be able to tell the story where it was left at that point.
Will we get that?
I can tell you nothing.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so awesome if that happens.
It would indeed be awesome.
This character doesn't necessarily fit in, and there's this idea they keep calling him a mutant who essentially he was made by magic, and the idea that we don't want your kind here. Essentially, it reminded me a little bit of the struggles of Superman when he essentially kind of gets on Earth and that idea of fitting in. Can you compare and contrast those struggles of maybe like I know they're different beings, but can you compare them?
No, there are some strong similarities drawn. Geralt of Rivia is almost like a blend of Superman and Batman.
Yeah.
He's bigger, stronger, faster than your average person, but he's also exceptionally good at detective work, and he was orphaned and abandoned, and he's grown up in incredibly harsh environments and trained exceptionally hard. And so if you were to take those two characters and blend them together and then put them in a fantasy/medieval setting, then you'd probably get someone like Geralt of Rivia, but he's got more of a external Batman personality and an internal Superman heart. And it's really, really interesting to play a character like that because there's only so much time you have in a show where you can express all those complexities and nuances.
What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Warstew here, back with another video on the future of Superman. So Henry Cavill secretly, randomly, has been answering questions about the Superman role and the Justice League when he was in LA, Hollywood, at his press junket stroke promo tour for the Netflix The Witcher. Now, this is pretty weird that he's answering questions about toxic fandoms, Superman, Snyder Cut, etc. Seeing as this press junket is meant to be about the Netflix Witcher show, which I've already kind of put some tweets out about, which is interesting because here in the UK, it was picked up by The Independent, The Daily Mail, The Sun, Henry Cavill News. Literally every website picked up what I said about it, which is pretty interesting. So let's get into this video. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos. At the 100,000 subscriber mark, I will be giving away a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X or a Switch with any game of your choice, just to say thank you. We're around about 23,000 away from that, so it could end up being a PS5. So let's get into this. Like I said, it's very interesting that you're talking about, the Witcher movie, and every question, to be honest, I've watched a lot of these interviews with The Witcher Netflix, Henry Cavill talking, and also the other two main leads being the actress who plays Ciri and Yennefer. And what is really interesting about this is this isn't criticism. Well, it is kind of criticism against the people interviewing, but I don't know if these questions have come personally from them or if it's come from their bosses, because obviously if you work for a big company and you get to interview people like Henry Cavill, I'm guessing the questions aren't really their questions, because I was expecting to watch these interviews and it to be about The Witcher. Obviously, as the interviewer says, he's only seen the first 5 episodes, which I've seen the first 5, so it's like cool. And we don't really find out anything about The Witcher that I didn't already know, because the focus of this interview is Superman, Justice League, toxic fandom, have you seen the Snyder Cut? And it's like, cool, this is content for me, because I've been covering a lot of this stuff recently, but I was hoping to make some kind of Witcher video out of it. So we talked briefly about The Witcher at the end of the video, but let's go over essentially what was asked. So, the Snyder Cut. He was asked the question of why Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, etc. all supported the release of Snyder Cut, and then Henry Cavill made a joke, and it's so obvious that his PR team, his manager, has told him exactly what to say, because, you know, there are talks going on for him to still play the Superman role, which is evidence now. The evidence is mounting up massive. And he talks about the future of Superman. He just wants to go forward and not look at the past, which has kind of triggered a lot of people online now, to the point where some people are like, yeah, we don't like him as Superman anyway, they should recast him. So essentially what he said about the Snyder Cut is, and what's interesting is, you got to remember, over a year ago he said, I quote, the Snyder Cut won't necessarily make anything better or worse. So he essentially says it doesn't really matter. Now I find this interesting because in this interview he essentially said that he doesn't know if it exists. Maybe he was talking about some deleted scenes and stuff. So he kind of discredited the whole Snyder Cut, which really has triggered the Snyder Cut fans. Now, the Snyder Cut isn't about getting Zack's work out there. It's about getting everyone who worked on this project. There's a lot of people, over 50-odd people who are in this movie who were cut. So the Snyder Cut isn't really about getting to see him more. It's to see the overall arching story that would have went into Darkseid and that kind of stuff, but we're not going to talk about it. So he essentially says he doesn't even know if it exists, and he just wants to get past it and move forward, which is interesting. It sounds like such a PR answer. He didn't really answer the question, because obviously he has supported Zack Snyder personally, like behind the scenes, and obviously you don't know, he's probably been texting him and stuff. So it's so obvious, because without the Man of Steel role, which everyone that interviews him says he is the best Superman, Man of Steel is one of the greatest superhero movies ever, which makes no sense to me why people say that when Warner Bros. Like, yeah, we need to make Superman relevant, we need to bring Michael B. Jordan in. No, because he would have been Calvin Ellis or like Val Zod. So it really makes no sense to me why he's talking about Superman, yet Warner Bros. Now people don't realize this, Warner Bros. Is owned by AT&T, the big mobile phone company in America. So it doesn't really matter what the hell Warner Bros. Said, because Warner Bros. Are actually irrelevant when it comes to if this Snyder Cut gets released, because guess what, guys? Warner Bros. Is owned by a big corporate company now, even bigger than Warner Bros. Is owned by AT&T. So if they want to release it, like some people seem to think the Snyder Cut is going to be announced this weekend at the Brazilian Comic-Con, we'll find out. But it's interesting how he's denying it and saying he just wants to move forward. There's a lot of Superman stories he wants to tell. So as far as he keeps talking about Superman, that is why I keep making videos saying he's confirmed him being Superman, because he keeps alliterating that he is Superman and there's other roles, he just wants to move forward, he misses his mustache and he wants to go past that. So it's pretty much, he was told that these questions were going to be asked, because I don't know if people listening to this video have ever interviewed anyone, but essentially you're generally told what you can and cannot say, and usually the person you're interviewing, in this case Henry Cavill, would know the question he's getting before they come. So obviously his PR team can tell him exactly what he can and what he cannot say. There was literally no spoilers for The Witcher, which is weird, seeing as they were interviewing him about The Witcher. Yet I felt like it was a DC Warner Bros. Interview, because every question was about, you know, Superman, Justice League, what do you think? So essentially he's discredited the whole Snyder Cut, and you know how Twitter is. A lot of fandoms online are now on the hate train. Henry Cavill basically says this. No, Henry Cavill is probably most likely in discussions about Man of Steel 2, which everyone is pushing for. No one's probably pushing harder than his manager. As we know, there's been lots of sneak peeks. You know, The Rock commissioning Boss Logic, well, The Rock's team behind him, which essentially is still The Rock, commissioning Boss Logic to make artwork back in 2018 of Henry Cavill Superman decimating Black Adam, and then people like, whoosh you, he's not going to be in the Black Adam movie, and then you're like, okay, but they've got the same manager, they're friends, you know, Danny Garcia's involved, Danny Garcia works with Henry, you know, The Rock had a meeting with Henry Cavill over a year ago now when they had drinks and they punch sync and they had made a deal for something. So it's pretty funny, these videos I make, because there is all the evidence there, and I know exactly how my comment section is going to go. No, he didn't say that, he didn't say that, but he's talking about the Snyder Cut. You know, he's giving clout to it. Now, I know why he said the Snyder Cut doesn't exist, because obviously if he is in negotiations, which he's most likely 99% sure he is, he doesn't want to annoy the company, because obviously until everything is signed and sealed, he can't say anything about anything. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you have Jason Momoa, you have Gal Gadot, you have Ben Affleck, obviously. Now, Ben Affleck's got nothing to do with DC at the moment at all, but Jason Momoa's got Aquaman 2, Gal Gadot's just about to start the promo tour for Wonder Woman 1984. So their roles in Aquaman and obviously Wonder Woman are set in stone already. So regardless to what they say in the media, nothing can change that. So you've got 2 of the Justice League members confirming the Snyder Cut. Then Henry is rudely asked questions, in my opinion, about stuff that he's got nothing to do with, because at the moment he's here, right, which is pretty cool. He's here. Obviously in LA, they did a whole Witcher experience where you could walk around this kind of building that had a lot of Witcher stuff in it, kind of like they did for Justice League in the UK. So hopefully they do something like that in London. I know the premiere for this is in London, so maybe they will have some kind of UK Witcher experience going there. So it's just very interesting that every interview Henry Cavill has asked recently, there seems to be more questions about Superman than Geralt, his actual character. Now, there's only one question in every interview. I would most likely put a clip up before this video starts of the most interesting video. So essentially, he just says that Superman and Geralt are very similar characters, which they are. When you've watched it, you'll understand. So it's just very interesting that the comments on my videos like, no, Henry's not Superman, yet he was asked every single interview, he was asked about the Superman role, which is very interesting. And then he was interviewed. Well, he wasn't interviewed, but he might as well be interviewed. So the actresses playing Yennefer and Ciri were asked questions about what is your favorite Henry Cavill movie or TV show? And they're fairly young actors. Literally, like, neither of them have really watched any of Henry Cavill's work, and they literally said that. So it's just interesting that, I don't know, I just get the vibe that these interviews were really weird about The Witcher, because if you're a fan of the book series, The Witcher, or the video game series, which is very popular, they've just recently released The Witcher 3 on Nintendo Switch, then you'd be expecting a lot of Witcher questions, and literally every interview is about Superman, the Snyder Cut, the toxic fandom. Now, Henry's comments on the toxic fandoms are pretty interesting. He basically said that every fan is entitled to any opinion they've got about any movie, about any actors. So it's interesting because obviously he's paid based on how well movies do and obviously getting roles. So it's cool that he doesn't really care what people think about his work. Obviously he does care, but he respects someone's opinion. Generally, actors get triggered if you don't like their work, but obviously they're paid regardless. So it is interesting that he answered questions about the toxic fandoms, the Snyder Cut, Superman, and then didn't really answer any questions about The Witcher, which is very frustrating because he's at a press junket media tour in LA for The Witcher, yet no one asked him about The Witcher. Now, I might be wrong. There might be some other interviews. I watched a bunch that appeared on Twitter about The Witcher, and obviously we've watched the first 5 episodes already. So I was expecting to get some like teasers, and it appears that the person interviewing him's only watched the first 5 episodes, and it appears the cast's only watched the first 5 episodes. But obviously, they probably will release the other 3 episodes because the embargo lifts on the 20th. But I just wanted to make a video to solidify the fact that, yes, Henry Cavill is still Superman. Now, we know that website, I don't like to give clout, is claiming that someone else is Superman, which is absolutely ridiculous when it's clear that the reasoning Henry Cavill would not say anything about the Snyder Cut and really go into any detail about anything to do that is because he's currently in negotiations of Man of Steel 2. It is literally confirmed by his body language. Listen to all the interviews when he talks about Superman. He wants to move forward. He doesn't want to talk about the past. He literally said, in a perfect world, he would go straight from Man of Steel 1 to Man of Steel 2 and kind of debunked like Batman vs Superman and Justice League movie, but that's fair. Like, he filmed it, it's cool. But it is interesting. Yes, everyone loves Man of Steel, and then there's all these allegations and like these quotes, like, you know, the fake Variety article. Now, it wasn't from a studio. That was a source piece. That was a bait article to get you into it. So it's like saying, we don't know what to do with Superman. And then there's literally thousands upon thousands of people on Twitter saying, you've literally already got Superman. Just make a story with Henry Cavill. It's that simple. And then people are like, yeah, but he can't play The Witcher. He can't play Superman at the same time. He can. Like I'm going to keep on saying. These are not generic. I have not got a script. I'm not a generic YouTuber. I don't write a script. I'm talking directly into the microphone. Right, he is Superman. He is relevant. Superman was made relevant in Man of Steel. You know? And then there's these weird articles saying he's not relevant. They don't know what to do with him. They'd rather make Supergirl. Well, there's no talk about a Supergirl movie anywhere. So that is absolute rubbish. And then you've got Brandon Roos, Tyler Hoechlin Superman. What the hell are they doing? Seriously, don't focus on Arrow, Sparrowverse stuff because that is relevant. Have you seen the ratings? Relevant stuff. And then Tyler Hoechlin's getting his own TV show. Congratulations. But why? It's like Warner Bros. Apparently doesn't know what to do with Superman, yet you're giving someone a TV show, yet you don't know what to do with Superman. Seriously? It's just weird. So yeah, I've gone on a bit of a rant here, but it didn't mean to be that. So essentially, the title is what it is. Henry Cavill addresses the future of Superman because he is Superman. He addresses the Justice League, Snyder Cut not existing. I understand why. He doesn't want to annoy anyone. He obviously wants to still be Superman, so he's got to play ball with Warner Bros. AT&T, who essentially fund everything now because they own Warner Bros. And essentially doesn't really talk about The Witcher, but he seems pretty passionate when he does get a question about The Witcher. It seems that most people that got to interview and got 3 questions. So I don't know why you'd waste your time talking about Superman or Justice League when you're there to ask questions about, you know, The Witcher that comes out 20th December. It's just interesting, and I love talking about this kind of stuff. So like always, please like, subscribe, and comment. Make sure to check me out on Twitter at WarStew, or just type WarStew in Twitter, you'll find me. And then on Instagram at WarStew, and then the Facebook page, just type WarStew in and you'll see loads of stuff. So like always, guys, please like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know down below, what do you think about everything that Henry said in these Witcher interviews? It all heads one way. He is making Man of Steel 2 very soon. So guys, I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.